Good afternoon, everyone. I'm going to call to order this regularly scheduled Intergovernmental Relations Committee meeting. I am Councilmember Andrew Johnson, Chair of the committee, and we are joined today by a quorum of council members, Councilmember Orsami, Schrader, Vice President Jenkins, and Councilmember Reich. I'll note that Council President Bender is out on city business today. We are also joined by Council Member Cano. We have two items on our agenda, one consent item and receive and file legislative update. I am going to walk on a third item as well, which we can have for discussion. So first of all, go with that consent item. It is amending the state legislative policy positions, jobs, and workforce development section to reflect the city's support for the Minneapolis American Indian Center's request of $7.6 million to the state of Minnesota's general fund for the renovation expansion of their current facility. Do we have any questions or discussion on that item? Councilmember Orsami.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm very supportive of this item. As you know, this institution is in Ward 6, and I'm very pleased that it's got onto our legislative agenda. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilmember Orsami. Any other questions or discussion on that item? Not seeing any. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Those opposed say no. The motion carries. And then we'll move on to this walk-on item. I have an amendment to our policy positions. This is a motion by myself on the committee. Also, I've added Council Member Cano as an author. Moving to amend the 2018 Policy Positions, Jobs, and Economic Development section by inserting language that the city supports state funding for and is committed to working with the East Phillips residents to support a community redevelopment and green jobs project in the South Minneapolis green zones and on a portion of the former Roof Depot site, which the city purchased to expand the existing Hiawatha campus to include the city's water facility located at 1860 East 28th Street and 2717 Longfellow Avenue. So I've gone ahead and moved that. Also note that we have with us today Representative Clark, and I'm going to give her an opportunity to address the committee for just a few minutes here. Welcome, Representative Clark. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, Chair Johnson, and I want to thank you for that first consent item because that happens to be my bill also, Minneapolis American Indian Center. So I'm really happy that that's added to your position with the state, because both of these are really important. And what this statement today will be something that I will be able to provide to the Jobs, Growth, and Energy Committee that's meeting Friday. I'm on that committee, and this is a bill that comes out of a strong neighborhood engagement that has to do with making sure that we have some opportunities for jobs and economic development in this green zone at the former Roof Depot site. And I think you all probably know some of the story about how the community has organized. Some of the folks are here with me who have been so deeply involved in that. Some of you, I think, might have come. We had a big community gathering at one point. I think more than 300 people came to talk from just the very local part of East Phillips to talk about how this is really important to us. And so if you can come along with us in terms of putting this on your agenda, it will go, I think, a long ways towards getting the state to also invest the money that will help make this project work. And I'm asking for $3 million, and who knows if we will get all or more, but I do serve on that committee, and I'm hoping that we will have my colleagues look at your statement of support and say, okay, well, if the city is willing to do this work and invest in this neighborhood that is an environmental justice neighborhood, low-income neighborhood that really needs these kinds of jobs, and just the incredible creativity that was involved in putting this together, I think is just amazing. And if you have time, we have the architectural drawings and everything's with us today that could explain how this transformation would happen. And if not, let me just say that we have for you documents that you can look at. We've been at least 4 years working on this, is that right? And people here I just want to mention some of the partners who have been very deeply involved, who are represented here today from Tamales y Bicicletas, both Jose Luis Villaseñor and Carlos, I believe it's right. They're both here from that organization. Cassandra Holmes is here from Little Earth United Tribes, who's very deeply involved. Dean DeVolas, who's a principal in ED, and the brilliant architect who's been working with us on this project. Let's see who else. Carol and Brad Pats are both here from East Phillips Improvement Coalition. Chad Hebert was here, but he had to go back to his office. He's the person who's our expert on aquaponics and how we can do that in a very low-tech way. We have others working with us, like Deb Cattell from the county board, who's working with on a more high-tech opportunity to work with aquaponics. So I just want to thank those folks for coming today. Did I leave out anybody? Abbas was here earlier. She had to leave. She's Abba Muhammad from the Southeast. Let's see, the actual title is Somali Families Chemical Awareness, Southeast Housing and Somali Families Chemical Awareness. She had to leave to go too. But anyway, you can just see that we're a very diverse and broad-based organization that's been working together. So I would just ask for your support so that I can say on Friday that the City of Minneapolis IGR committee has committed to working with us on this and wants the state to make this kind of investment.
Thank you, Representative Clark. We, I believe, have a question or a comment from Vice President Jenkins.
Thank you, Chair and Representative Clark. I'm just curious in terms of thinking about, housing and urban farms, and I know it's hydroponic, but are we concerned about the environmental issues at the site and how is that being addressed?
I'm getting some coaching here from the side. How are the environmental issues being addressed?
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that is really wonderful about the building that we're asking to have a portion of preserved is that we've had it toured by experts in urban farming. Will Allen, for example, who's advised us. He came here from Milwaukee and took a tour along with several others, Dean and others. And that building is perfect with only putting a wall along one side to begin very soon some very vibrant aquaponics and indoor urban agriculture. And what that means in a neighborhood like ours is that people can grow food all year round. And that is really critical. It's an environmental justice issue. Food is, affordable, accessible food in a food desert like our community. So one of the good things about that is people will get jobs to learn how to do that indoor type of farming. So that addresses an environmental issue right there. And it is a clean building. Outside there is contamination. And the proposal from the city Public Works was to tear down the building, which I think is too bad because then they are going to start exposing soil that has arsenic and other things in it. But that's going to be a choice that they will be making. But inside that building, cement floor and the way we had it evaluated, we're ready to go. All we need to do is put up a wall. We probably need to deal with some roofing issues and some lighting issues, but it's almost ready to go. It's exciting in that way. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Thank you.
Excellent. Well, thank you, Representative Clark. Appreciate it. And on the motion, I'll also mention too that I had staff explicitly tell me to share that they are supportive of the language that includes Robin Hutchinson, our Public Works Director, Nuria Rivera-Vandermeid, our City Coordinator, Mark Ruff, our CFO, and Jean Ranieri, our Intergovernmental Relations Director. Councilmember Cano.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to say, as the council member who has been working extensively with our community members on this, that indeed, I'm very happy to see the East Phillips Improvement Coalition here, Little Earth of United Tribes, Tamales y Bicicletas. It was certainly our representative, Karen Clark, represents a very strong legacy in the environmental justice movement with her work with the Women's Environmental Institute and the work with Will Allen. We know that Dean DeVolas is here with DJR architecture, and we're also engaged with and working with the Minnesota Sustainable Development Group, which is a group that has come together and has the leadership of Debbie Goetel, who's helping also to advise this process. So probably for the past 3 years, almost 4, we've been working on making sure that this project is successful for not only the city operations, but also the community who resides here and the taxpayers who we work for. And I was very lucky to be a part of a community meeting that was convened by our community residents here and organizations a couple of months ago, that was attended by easily 300 people. And it was in the gym of the East Phillips Cultural and Community Center. I had Mark Ruff and Lisa Cerny from Public Works accompany me, and we had a big conversation about the future of the site. And so what was really powerful about that meeting is that it pulled residents from all over the city. It's folks from the Bicycle Coalition. It's folks from the Land Stewardship Project. It's people who are working on cooperatives. It's artists. It's organizers. I mean, the room was just so full of so much energy and hope for this project that I think that adding this to our agenda is not only necessary, but it's visionary. This is one of the areas that can lead our nation in the conversation of green zones, in the conversation of sustainable community development that is in partnership with public government. So I'm really excited to see this move forward. And I want to thank Councilmember Andrew Johnson and the chair of this IGR committee for working with me to finesse that resolution concept into what we see here now.
Councilmember Reich? Oh, and Jenkins?
No.
Okay, Councilmember Reich.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would like to add, and I've been in very strong communications with as the home chair of the tenant of this proposed site for the Public Works. The past document that was a longer series of resolutions authored by Kano included clarifying language I think would be helpful for your language, which would be after it says former roof depot site, as it had in the previous resolution in the whereas and subsequent therefore clause, not required for municipal operations. So former roof depot site not required for municipal operations would be very clarifying and appreciated in this version as it was welcomed in the previous versions.
Former Councilmember Reich. Let's see here. Former roof depot site. So this is the former roof depot site, and you wanted to say
Borrowing the language from the previous draft, not required for municipal operations.
not required for municipal operations.
And that'd be greatly appreciated by the tenants that would use the majority of this site.
All right. I have a motion from Reich to amend the language. Any discussion on that? Not seeing any. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
That motion carries. And then we have the amended version of this this amendment before us. Is there any additional discussion on this item? I just wanted to say that I greatly appreciate Councilmember Kano, her leadership on this and working together on bringing this item forward today. So not seeing any other discussions or questions. All those in favor? Unfortunately, we don't do that at this committee level. Thank you. Not seeing any other discussion. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the motion carries. And now we are moving on to our final. Thank you,
Mr.
Representative Clark.
Chairman and members, we really, really appreciate it.
Thank you, Representative Clark. Now we are moving on to our final item, the federal, state, local legislative updates. And you know what? We might not have anybody here today. Lauren, do you have anything for us? Not to put you on the spot.
I really don't. No, it's hard to keep up with what's going on at the Capitol. I'm Lauren Olson, Government Relations Representative, and everybody is busy at the Capitol. I'm monitoring activity at the Met Council and with airport issues, but I don't think I can keep up with the latest information. So if you have any questions, I think we can follow up with you about any specific things at the Capitol.
Thank you, Ms. Olson. I know that it's our staff are over there working very, very hard. Hopefully they're getting some sleep in between all the work, but I know we've got a lot before us. So not having any, I guess, do we even, to the clerk, receive and file anything since we don't really have anything? All right, we're good then. We'll just go ahead and adjourn the meeting. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
All right, let me answer your question. Sorry about